Good afternoon, everyone. Apologies for our slight delay, a couple of technical glitches, but we hope that you can hear us and see us. Today, we're going to spend the next 45 minutes, an hour, talking about some quick wins to improve your online visibility. I'm Sharon, and I head up the website side of things and SEO. And with me is Alicia, who looks after all things to do with social media. So, key topics that we're going to cover today are: is your website set up for Google? And some back to basics, key things that you should go onto your website and check and update where necessary. Does Google, in fact, even know who you are? Have you submitted your website to your Google console and Google Analytics so they can actually find your page to begin with? It's okay having a website, but if Google doesn't know it exists, then you're not going to rank high enough. Then Alicia will be talking about the difference between reactive and proactive engagement on Instagram and how to engage with new followers successfully. So without further ado, let's get started. So just an overview of what SEO is. I'm sure all of you have heard the term. SEO stands for search engine optimization, and is basically Google, Bing, and other search engines which rank your website according to how relevant they feel it is. Organic SEO is the process of getting traffic from the free organic or natural search results on search engines. And pay-per-click or PPC, or otherwise known as paid ads, is SEO, but it is a quick fix, expensive, and once stops, instantly disappears. So it's a good thing temporarily, maybe, to start off with if you want to see quick results. But as a long-term SEO strategy, it isn't really something that businesses should opt for unless they've got particularly huge budgets or particularly difficult keywords to rank for in the first place. So optimizing your website structure. This is a bit like imagining your website's a library. You walk into a library, all the books are on the shelves, all normally in alphabetical order, or some sort of logical order. So when you're building a website or you've got a website and you're looking over it and seeing if it makes sense, think of how you'd see a bookshelf, and does it make sense? Not just to you, but would it make sense to who's viewing your website? If it makes sense to who would view your website, it will make sense normally to Google as well. It's also important when you're doing it to make sure all your URLs actually describe what each page is about. Some websites I've seen, not ones I've built, thankfully, but other ones where you'd have something like www.yoursalon.com/page 1. That doesn't actually say what your website or what that page is about. So you'd actually title your page with whatever the page is about, being descriptive with your URLs and having the relevant keywords. It might be www.yoursalon.com/facials, for example, or you might want to go into a bit more detail, especially if it's a blog. Trying to think now, facial wise, what you'd say, but what's the best products to use for your skin, or how to maintain your skin and everything after you've had a facial at a salon, to keep people interested in what you're doing and show that you're expert in that area as well. So also important is having a sitemap. Many people forget about this when they're building their website. If you've got a WordPress one, I'm going to talk mainly about WordPress today. I know there's other ones out there, Wix, Squarespace, etc. But for the purpose of this, WordPress, you'd use Yoast. Yoast is a plugin. It's free. There are paid elements as well, but I never use any of them. You can get a sitemap, download the sitemap from there, and add it to the bottom of your page in the footer where it would normally sit. And that helps the search engines navigate and index your site quite easily. It is important, obviously, when you create new pages to make sure that the sitemap is actually keeping up to date as well. So if you do add additional pages, just keep making sure that your sitemap is refreshed and up to date. So performing keyword research. So identify relevant keywords or phrases that are related to your business and your target audience. So you'd pick one, trying to think of one off the top of my head. I should have come up with some more examples. If you were a roofer, for example, you'd pick some keywords that are relevant to your trade and your industry. So tiles, professional roofer, and just make sure that you're including also maybe a location. So if you're not a national company, but you're focusing more on companies or customers that are more local to you, you'd have relevant locations in your title. So for example, we'd come up for SEO Basildon, we'd come up for website design Basildon. Likewise, if you were a salon in Leicester, you'd put salon in Leicester. Make sure you've got those there, because obviously that will also help with your local SEO. There are tools that you can use for keyword research. So there's Google Keyword Planner or SEMrush, which is another popular one. There are some others as well. And what I'll do, pardon me, is I will upload some links to these tools, which I'll be talking about, those particular ones and other ones in the guide, which you'll get by the end of this week if you've pre-registered for this. And I'll also put some of the links in the comments below after the session has ended. So don't worry if you forget anything, there will be the opportunity to keep going back and revisiting the webinar. So creating high quality content, make sure it's valuable, informative, engaging to your audience's needs. A lot of websites I've seen people say, we do this or I do that, and it's very, very, very repetitive. People don't want to know what you do. They want to know if you're going to have a solution to their pain points, which they have. What benefits do you offer them? So just put yourself in your ideal customer's position and think, right, well, what are they actually struggling with and how can I answer that for them? And then use that in any content that you do. So again, make sure that the keywords you found in your keyword research you're using. And also when you're on looking to do blogs or things like that, perhaps go on to Google. If you type in a particular question like how to bake a cake or how to bake the best chocolate cake, if you scroll down probably about a quarter way down the page, there's a section on Google which says people also ask. You can use those questions as blog titles, and that will help as well when you're adding them to your blog space for Google to think, oh, hang on a minute, this is relevant. Someone's answering that question that we actually need answers to. So that's a great way to, if you've got a mental block and you don't know what to do in a blog, then just go on to Google, type in one of the questions or something really basic, and you can actually, I believe you can anyway, I haven't done this for a while, click on it and it will actually filter down and it will give you more and more questions. So it's an unlimited source that you can use, and it's all there in front of you. The one thing to remember, and people often do this, they get a website, think it's absolutely brilliant, everything's on there, and then they never update it. That's a big mistake. You do need to keep on top of your website with fresh content regularly. Particular articles, blog posts, those are probably the easiest things to update. But it will keep your visitors coming back to your page time and time again to keep up with what you're writing. You can also share it on your social media. which I'm sure Alicia will mention later on with Instagram. You can share your social media posts, link that back to your website so people can see what you're doing all the time. And also it tells the search engines, if your website is being updated constantly, that it's active and relevant. So someone who had a website built, say 3, 4, 5 years ago, even, I don't know, 6 months ago, if nothing's been changed in that time, Google will start dropping you in your position because they don't think it's relevant. They might not think the website or the business might not exist anymore. It's not having the proactive event. So you need to keep on top and make some updates. Doesn't have to take you long, even if you schedule in 10 minutes a week. Just think of something. A lot now, it's been in the media about AI. So I know there's mixed reviews on whether you should use it or whether you shouldn't. But if you've got a mind blank, just go on to one of those AI things, type in a question, get an answer, and then just use it yourself to rewrite it, because it's not always 100% accurate. Some good stuff comes out of it, but it's also good to put your own spin on things and make it yourself, because anyone typing in the same question will get the same answer as what you're doing. So you don't want any repetitiveness or anything like that. So use it, but use it wisely. So optimizing page titles and meta descriptions. I mentioned this at the beginning. It's important to write some compelling and keyword-rich titles and meta descriptions for each page. Title should be 60 characters, no more than 60 characters. And meta descriptions should be under 160 characters. So what is a title? If you go onto Google, you see the main larger font of each link. That is your title, hence being only 60 characters. If it's on 3/4 of a line, I'd say it doesn't go right the way across. And then meta descriptions are about 1.5 lines, 2 lines of text underneath. So it's really important to get any keywords you can in those spaces. So try not to waste it with irrelevant words. Put keywords, and also put the keywords, if you can, at the beginning. Not so much your business name, because anyone can go onto Google and type in Be Spotted, for example. And yes, of course, Be Spotted will turn up for number 1 just by doing Be Spotted, because that's what it's been taught to do by Google. But people that haven't heard of Be Spotted will be looking for web design, social media, SEO, print, etc., etc. So think of what you actually do rather than your business name. By all means, put your business name in the title, but don't put it at the beginning necessarily. Put that at the end if you want to. So, for example, if you're a bakery that does wedding cakes, a good title might be Delicious Wedding Cakes, Pipe, and then your bakery name. So you can do it like that. Meta descriptions are brief summaries of what the visitors can expect to find on your page. So make sure, like I said, that they're unique, descriptive, and enticing for them to read and actually click on the link, which will then obviously flow in to whatever page you've done. Concentrate on one keyword per page, one key phrase per page, because otherwise it will confuse Google if you're doing too much. Your home page, obviously, that is the entrance to your website, so don't worry too much about that. Concentrate on it being your business name, your location perhaps, and what area you're looking at in terms of what trade you have. But other pages should only focus on one keyword or key phrase. Likewise, again, if you're looking at local SEO, you would do a number of hidden pages. So, for example, if I was a loft conversion company in Southend, I'd put loft, it'll be my domain name / Loft Conversions Southend. And then another page would be my website name / Loft Conversions Hornchurch, or even a county. It doesn't have to be specific right down, but obviously the more pages you have like that, you don't actually have to put them in your menu. You can put them elsewhere on the page, or it will be found by Google as long as it's published. It doesn't actually have to form part of your main menu, because obviously that would look really messy with lots and lots of different locations. So improving your website loading speed. Lots of people get hung up about this. They run a test, which you can do on Google Page Speed Insights, to see how quick your website's loading. Don't get too hung up about the speed. It is important, but it's not critical. If you just do some general maintenance, it should be fine. So things like compressing your photos. Lots of people, obviously you don't want blurry photos on your website, but websites and print are completely different areas. You don't need high resolution photos, which are lots and lots of megabytes big on your website. You can easily compress them. There are plugins you can do if you've got WordPress. And again, I can recommend some which I'll put in the guide that you can utilize. Alternatively, you can do it in things like Photoshop, Photopea, and some other ones, even in Canva. I'm sure you must be able to compress photos there as well. So just make sure that the photo size is as small as possible without obviously damaging the clarity of them. And you can test them. Obviously, minimize the size of it and then put it up, see what it looks like. And make sure they're not distorted either. So give that a go. Obviously, other things are looking at CSS and JavaScript. And now everyone's thinking, oh my God, what's CSS and JavaScript? So I'm going to gloss over that one. I'm more than happy to look at any websites if you do want to leave your website, or drop us a DM, and I can have a look to see if your CSS or JavaScript even files are causing any cause for concern, and then I can guide you through that separately. Another thing is leveraging your browser caching. You should be able to do that on your website or your hosting. So if you think that might be causing a problem, or you haven't got it installed, then do check with your hosting company or your web designer to make sure that's done. Browser caching obviously helps people when they're constantly coming, well, not constantly, we hope they're coming constantly back to your website, to load a bit faster. So images will load faster and everything else will load faster for them, so they don't have to keep waiting the same time each time they're going to your website. So that's why browser caching is important. Again, using tools like Google PageSpeed Insights will tell you any areas for improvement. And I will, again, drop the link in the comments on how you can utilize that and how you can find that to test that against your own website. So next thing is optimizing for mobile devices. Obviously, a lot of people these days use mobiles or tablets to look at your website. When you are building it, depending on what program you use, again, if it is WordPress, there are different options that you can check to see what your website will look like on each of the different devices. Personally, I don't particularly like checking it on the desktop or a Mac or anything like that. And I do actually physically look on a tablet or a mobile phone, because each mobile is different in size. Each tablet is different in size. So sometimes it doesn't quite work as well as just having a quick look yourself. There are some problems, obviously, with smaller phones and bigger phones, and it is quite a tasked to try and make sure everything fits. But as long as it fits on the most of the devices quite well, it will generally try to fit to size. So obviously make sure that your website is mobile friendly. Again, Google do have their own mobile friendly test, and I will drop the link again after this. I'm dropping a lot of links for you guys. So you can just check your website to see if there's any problems with that. And obviously make sure you either action the changes yourself, have a play about with your own website and see if you can reduce sizes or move paragraphs or anything like that. Or again, contact your web designer or contact us and we'll be happy to help. So building high quality backlinks. Backlinks need to be reputable and relevant to websites in your industry. So how can you do this? You can do this through guest blogging on other people's websites. You can do it through social media promotion. You can do content partnerships. They're all different effective ways of getting your content out there. It is really important, though, not to just post anywhere and everywhere. It is very much a case of quality, not quantity. There are some websites out there which you don't really want to link to because they'll only bring your score down. So think carefully about where you're going to post, who's going to give you the most benefit. So look at bigger companies. For example, you may link your post, say something was in the news and it actually features on the BBC website. That is a reputable website. It's been around. It's got lots of hits. Everyone looks at it. But then if your Auntie Mavis down the road also has a blog, she's not going to be such high quality in terms of her backlink. So you wouldn't necessarily link to her website. So think big where you can link to things. So if there's anything in your business as well in terms of legislation or something that you need to follow, link that to the government website. If it's something topical, like I said, put that in the news and link it to the BBC or Sky News or some companies that are really big and have a big following. They're the types of companies that you need to do the linking to. And again, I'll put some further information on backlinking and some ideas of what you can do in the guide so you can have a go yourself. Utilize local SEO strategies. So if you're a small business and you serve a specific geographical area, then you need to optimize for local SEO. The way I tend to do that with all my client websites is to include your business name, your address, your phone number, otherwise known as a NAP. Doesn't mean go to sleep, and I hope none of you have already while I've been nattering on. If you put them all on your website, I tend to put them on the footer because it's relevant to the search engines. Yes, it's relevant to your customers so they know where you are, but obviously the rest of your content is even more important. So generally when you see any websites, if they're going to have their NAP details on there, it is generally all in the footer and it's a global setting. So it's across all your pages. So if someone doesn't necessarily land on your homepage, they're navigating from a blog perhaps to your website and they land on your blog page, they can scroll down on the same page and find all your contact details without having to then click to your contact page or going to your home page. The fewer the clicks, the better. So treat each page, if you like, as its own landing page. And when you're on social media and you want to link to a particular topic on your website, don't always link back to your home page. Link to the actual page with all those relevant details on, because that's where you want the hits to be. And if you're not already got a Google My Business profile or any other local directory listings, get one. This obviously helps Google find you, customers find you. The way Google My Business is set up, you can add posts to it. You can add images to it. There's reviews on it. So it's pretty much similar to another social media platform that you can use to utilize to your effect. And obviously get customers looking and seeing who you are and everything like that. So if you haven't got a Google My Business profile and you're not sure how to do this, surprise, surprise, I have a guide. So please drop us a DM or comment below if you'd like that. And I will get that sent across to you and some information, further information, so you can get that set up. Almost there. And then I promise I will shut up and I'll hand over to Alicia. So the next one is to monitor and analyze your performance. So check that all your pages are indexed with Google. I will add a link and how to do this. It will be in the guide. If your pages aren't indexed by Google, Google won't find it, therefore it won't rank. So you could be sitting there with a lovely website thinking, why aren't people looking at my page? It's because Google doesn't know it exists. So do have a check to see if your pages are all indexed with Google. If they're not, we can help with that as well. So again, get in touch if you're unsure of how to check your pages are indexed with Google or not, and we can chat further. Another thing to regularly do is monitor your website's performance using tools like Google Analytics. Google Analytics 4, if you've on our newsletter, you would have seen our article about Google Analytics now changing to Google Analytics 4. From the 1st of July, it's actually taking over from Google Analytics. So if you've got Google Analytics and not Google Analytics 4, or GA4 as they sometimes call it, then do make sure you get that all switched over before the 1st of July, because Google Analytics is going. We do have a guide. If you want to click on the Scan Me, it will take you to our guide, which we've got and had some great feedback on, which actually tells you how to convert from Google Analytics to Google Analytics 4. And track important metrics such as organic traffic, bounce rate, and conversions. This sounds all boring, I know, but if you don't know where your traffic's coming from, what's proving popular, you won't know what to change or what's working, what's not working, and to obviously improve your website. Again, it's all about going back, reviewing what content you've got on your website, and making sure it's actually working for you. Just a small tweak can make a huge difference. So do check out your keywords and monitor and analyze your performance on Google Analytics 4. So yeah, I think that's me. That's all the steps I'm going to give you today. I know that was a huge amount of information, but you can go back and review the website, the webinar again. We do have a website which has got the online SEO.academy. Again, if you scan the QR code, that will take you directly there. There's lots of freebies, ebooks, and more on there. And you can also register your interest on our membership, Attract Leads and Boost Sales, which we give a breakdown for how to do things on your website and how to increase your SEO. So if you've got any questions, then drop them in your underneath any posts, and I'll get back to you after the session with some answers. And of course, like I said, anyone who has registered for today will get the guide sent through to them by the end of this week, so you can work through that as well. So handing over to Alicia now. I'll have a drink and I'll sit back and enjoy.
Thank you. So we're going to move on and talk about Instagram engagement. So Instagram engagement is based on more than the number of likes and comments on your page. It goes hand in hand with creating your content. So creating content is part one of what should be your social media strategy, and then Instagram engagement is part two. So the content, you know, is the visual side of things. The engagement is then drawing people in to look at your content and to interact with your content. So it's about drawing people in and getting them interested in what you're saying. Next slide, please. So why does it matter? So carrying out regular engagement work helps you seek out and build a closer relationship with your followers, and ultimately in the end game really is non-followers. It allows you to understand what they want and need from you, so you can use it for that kind of thing as well. And plus the algorithm loves the engagement. So the more you engage, the more your content will get pushed under certain hashtags and to your followers on their news feeds. Next slide, please. So there's two different types of engagement. There's reactive engagement and proactive engagement. So we'll go over reactive engagement first. So it kind of is what it says on the tin. It's reacting to things that have already happened. So this could be answering people's comments. It could be responding to any messages that have come in that day or that week, liking comments on your page, responding. And I've said there, responding thoughtfully to any comments made on your post. So what I mean by that is, if somebody says, I love what you've done in that picture, instead of just saying thanks, say something, create a conversation. So thanks so much. It took me this long to do, or have you ever done something like this before? Something to that effect. So make your comment a little bit longer and try and create a bit of a conversation, because ultimately the reason why we carry out this engagement work is because we want to have conversations in direct messages, or people coming to our website or something to that effect, leading into sales or leads or inquiries. So really that's the end goal that you've got to keep in mind. So, and by doing this reactive engagement, it shows Instagram, it shows the algorithm that you are active on your page and that you're not simply just pushing posts out and then ignoring everything. It shows that you're active and that you're looking to build your page. So again, it helps boost your content to your followers and helps you get seen. So that's the really simple one. So that's probably something that you do day to day anyway. And if you don't, I recommend you start doing that day to day. So just take 5 minutes out of your day just to respond to anything that comes in. So the other side of it is proactive engagement. So this is the harder part of your engagement strategy. But what you want to do here is you spend time reacting to other people's posts, reels, stories, send people direct messages. And I've said that in a non-spammy way, because it's a pet peeve of mine when people just drop in and go, hey, love what you're doing. Let me sell you my service. That to me is, everyone's got a personal preference. That to me is spammy. I don't like that. I instantly go delete, no thank you, because you've not bothered to build that relationship with me first. So just a tip there, personal preference. So essentially what you're doing is you're making the first move in that engagement process instead of your follower or followers. So I think I'll break this down a little bit later on, but I'd recommend doing around 5 to 10 minutes a day on proactive engagement. So yeah, as I said there, I do mine whilst I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, which is a lot because I am a tea drinker in this house. So it's kind of for your engagement strategy in total, you want to be looking at doing around 5 to 10 minutes a day in terms of engagement. Split it up throughout the day, do a couple of minutes here and there. You don't have to sit for 10 minutes at a time and do it. But that's kind of the recommended time. Don't bother spending any longer on it, because then it feels like a chore, and any less, you're probably not going to get the result you want. Next slide, please. Okay, so some proactive engagement tips then. So first things first, make sure you're only following either accounts of interest and clients or potential clients. Now, the reason I say this is because if you're following every man and his dog, your Instagram feed is going to get clogged up with people that actually you're not really interested in seeing or interacting with. The point of your business page and the point of your feed is for you to be able to see people that are either current clients or people that you want to be clients, because they're the people that you want to be engaging with. So unless it's somebody like a coach or someone who regularly provides quite helpful information, I'd keep them on there, but otherwise get rid. And whilst I'm on that particular topic as well. I know sometimes we get the, you know, follow trains, or, you know, a like for a like. Let's post your Instagram handle here and let's all like each other's pages. Try not to engage too much in those if you can, because they're probably not going to be, unless it's a group of people that you want to be a client, it's probably not going to be of any use. So then you're clogging up your newsfeed. Quite often in those situations, people will like your page, and then once you've liked their page, they'll remove their like. And yeah, so I would just steer clear of them if you can. I'll get off my horse now. So once you've got the people that you want to see on your account, use your time to scroll down your newsfeed and start leaving comments and likes on posts. So as I've finished my rant there, but, you know, focus on clients and potential clients only. The reason being, these are the people you want to bring into your business. So when you leave comments, make them meaningful. And just like with reactive comments, use this space to strike up a conversation, which I've already spoken about there. But, you know, if somebody, for example, somebody that you follow who you would like to be a client, they've got a new dog, let's say, for example. If it was me doing that engagement work, I would give the comment a like, and then I would say, oh my gosh, that dog is so cute. What breed is it? Or how old is it? If the breed is quite obvious, something like that. And then strike up that little bit of conversation. The conversation's not necessarily going to lead them into your direct messages and then booking an appointment with you. But the point is that you're starting to build that relationship up. And then later on down the line, they're going to remember your name when it comes to something that they need. Next slide, please. So tip number 2, find and follow new people. So this is another step of your proactive engagement. So I always recommend searching for a hashtag that your potential follower might be using on their posts. So I've said here, for example, Leicester mum blogger. If I was a beauty salon in Leicester and I was looking for more mums to come to my salon, because that's who my ideal client is, I would go into the hashtag Leicester mum blogger as an example. You can then go into the recents tab. So if you do this on your phone, there's usually a recent tab at the top, although Instagram have changed it on some accounts and not others. So sometimes the recent tab is there, sometimes it isn't. And then what I would do from there is I then scroll through that hashtag, start looking at people's posts, and then start liking and commenting on their posts. So again, nothing too spammy, just how cute, or what a lovely colour that you've got on there. Oh, your garden is lovely. Little things like that. Again, it's all about what you've got to keep in mind is building up that relationship between you and that potential new follower. I've said there maybe just 1 post, 2 if you feel like it. Any more just makes you look spammy. I'm sure we've all had it where someone has liked our page and then gone like on about 10 posts. There's no benefit to it. I just think it's spammy. Other people are going to think it's spammy. They're not going to look at that and go, that's definitely someone I want to see. They're going to go, okay, fair enough. So I would stretch it to maybe 2 posts max, no more than that. Next slide, please. So tip number 3, so engage with your ideal client on other people's accounts. So I said that it sounds a bit shady. It's not shady. What I don't mean is head off to a competitor's page and start commenting on all their posts and saying, oh, come to me instead, or I recommend this, or so on and so forth. What you're not there to do is create a rivalry between you and another business. But what I do mean is visiting a local business's page. So for example, a florist. So again, I'm going to go back to being a salon. I'm a salon owner. I'm going to go to a local florist Instagram page, and I can see that they've got some comments and likes. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, that bouquet is absolutely stunning. What different types of flowers have you got in there? Something to that effect. And the reason I would do that is because then other people that are going to comment on there will then see your comment that you've made. And because by nature we are all nosy people, they're more than likely to click onto your link and go and have a little look at your page, thus resulting in potentially a follow, or at least someone keeping you in mind later on. And then I've said there, then just rinse and repeat. So it's a good way of widening your reach across the local area without commenting on a direct competitor's page, and trying to not steal, but, you know, essentially steal followers and things like that, because it doesn't put you in a good position. Personally, other people might say different. That's not how I like to do things. Next slide, please. So get involved in conversations. Don't be afraid to have a little chat with people from time to time. So the example I've used here is someone has asked a question about nail care on a local Facebook page. What you tend to find a lot of the time is some people will just rush on and drop a link. There you go, there's my business link. I'm a salon in this area, business link. That's not what they've asked for. They've asked for some tips and advice. So instead, give them the advice they're looking for, but start it with, as an example, local nail tech here. My advice to this is X. And now the reason you're doing that is you're giving them the answer that they're looking for. So you're being helpful, and you're not being, you know, you've not dropped your link. So you're not potentially going to get banned from any kind of page, because I know a lot of pages don't like that. A lot of groups don't like that. You're being helpful. You're giving the person what they're after. And then again, as a result, they're going to look at your page and go, oh, that person runs a salon, or that person is a photographer at that place, so on and so forth. And then they're going to have a look at your page. So I've said there that make sure that your business links are in your personal profile. Because again, a lot of the time in these Facebook groups, you can't join as a page. A lot of the time you have to join as a person. So by having your business links in your bio, in your Facebook bio, when that person does stalk you to say, oh, they've responded to that, let me click on their name, the first thing that's going to come up is all of your business links. So that's just a recommendation of mine. It's just, again, another way of advertising your business without paying for it, essentially. Yeah, so I've said on there about going onto competitors' pages again. Don't do it. It's not a good look. Next slide, please. And finally, be consistent. So being consistent with your engagement will make a huge difference to the success of your social media pages. Factor it in to your daily routine. As I've said, 5-10 minutes a day. I would say 10 to 15 minutes a day, whilst you're waiting for the kettle to boil, whilst you're, you know, waiting for your dinner to finish cooking, something like that, while you're chilling in the garden. Just factor it into your day in little bits, and your account will grow. It does seem a bit tedious at first, and initially you might kind of think, oh, I'm not seeing any instant result. It's not about seeing an instant result. It's about building those relationships. And what you'll find as you do it over the next few months is that slowly but surely your following and your engagement rates will grow, with the end goal of that being you getting new leads and new clients. So just, as I've said already, bear in mind that the end goal of all of this Instagram engagement is to create those conversations, and then to get those either messages in your inbox, leads to your website, that kind of thing. So it's not about the vanity metrics. It's not about how many comments and likes you can get on a post. We're not bothered about that, because realistically, unless you're an influencer, that really doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. What it's about at the end of the day is bringing those people into your business, and that's why we're doing it. And I think that might be it from my slides.
It is indeed. Thank you very much, Alicia. So really, there is a lot of crossover, as you can see from what Alicia has said and from what I've said. You need to go out there and show that you're an expert and the go-to person in your field. So don't always just drop a link, like she said, and run. When you're posting on social media, give little hints and tips, or join groups as well on social media, and actually just give some free advice so people see you as an expert, rather than just saying, oh, I'm a web designer. there's so many people out there which are going to say exactly the same thing. So you need to stand out. And by standing out, you're actually giving some information which proves that you're an expert in your trade. Again, another consistent thing to do is doing things 5-10 minutes a day. How often do we sit down for lunch, or we're just having a cup of coffee, cup of tea, even a glass of wine? I wouldn't say this early in the day, maybe some people possibly, I don't know. But whatever your fancy is, just 5-10 minutes a day, being consistent on your website, on your social media profiles, that will help your business and your visibility immensely. You might not see results straight away. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But the key is being consistent. And over time, you don't know who's watching. People will see you. They will get to know who you are. They'll see your name come up and they'll think, well, hang on, that person said something like that before, or I've seen someone like that. And they'll end up potentially even recommending you to other people just for seeing you. They might not become a client themselves, but they might know someone else who is. So just get out there, be consistent. Don't be scared to put yourself out there and show that you're an expert in your field. It's all the case of doing it little and often. So just schedule it in when you're having your tea, when you're having your coffee, over lunch, just sit down 5-10 minutes, and that can make all the difference. If you'd like to get in touch with us, or see any of our services, or sign up to our weekly visibility newsletter, then head over to bespotted.co.uk, where you can scan the QR code on the screen. It'll take you straight there. Drop us an email, standout@bespotted.co.uk, or give us a call. If you have any questions about the webinar, then please drop them in the comments, and we'll reply to as many of them as possible. Those who pre-registered for the webinar will get their book, their guide, if you like, by the end of this week. So please keep an eye out on your emails. If you don't have anything, let's say by Monday morning, you will get it by Friday. But if you don't have anything by Monday morning, because we'll have the weekend off, then please drop us an email or give us a call, and we'll make sure you get that book, so you can review it. For those of you who didn't pre-register, we will also put a link down so you can purchase a copy of the guide at your own leisure, should you wish to do so. So I don't believe there is anything else that we'll share with you this time. We don't want to overwhelm you. That's the key thing, not to overwhelm anyone. But if you do feel that you need a bit more guidance on any of the topics or areas that we covered today, then please do get in touch. Like I said, our details are on the screen, and myself or Alicia will get in contact with you, and we'll be happy to help. So thank you, Alicia. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you are watching on replay, please put #replay just so we can track to see who was watching the replay too. And have a lovely day, and do let us know how you're progressing as you're implementing any of the strategies that we talked about today. Thanks, everyone, and have a lovely day.